Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of C2C. I'm Richard Murray, COO of Telarus, and I'm joined today by CoreSite. Joining us today is special guest Steve Smith. Steve has a long background in the channel, including all the way back with Avaya and SAP. Steve, let's start out just a little bit with you introducing yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for having me. It's great to be on. Steve Smith, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here at CoreSite. I've been at CoreSite for about 6.5 years, coming up on 7 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but it has. And as you mentioned, some of my history, both with SAP most recently and prior to that at Avaya, and even if you go further back in several service management companies and network companies. So really been around the block in really a lot of the forms of different IT architecture, support technologies, and so forth. And what really brought me to CoreSite was just this whole evolution of cloud services and how that really is the consumption model for technology today and really for the foreseeable future. So as I was exiting SAP, much of the software that we were selling for ERP software and analytics and so forth was landing in someone else's data center. And even that company at the time was making significant efforts to acquire other companies that were cloud-based and really make their shift from on-premise software to more of a cloud-based architecture. So fast forward 6.5 years, and we've seen a lot of that happen, and see a lot of enterprises really adopting this whole hybrid multi-cloud environment where they're adopting a CoreSite infrastructure to house their core applications that then can have access to lots of network choice in order to provide low latency and choice for their different network providers, and then access to those native on-ramps to those different cloud providers for those other applications. So having that all seamlessly come together into an IT architecture that looks seamless to their end users and their customers and their employees. So it's an exciting place to be, and excited to be at CoreSite and be with you guys here today.
Well, let's talk on that for a minute. Some of the architecture, the product offerings, but more specifically to what really pertains right now. 2020 has been a really difficult time, I think, for a lot of businesses, business operations. How have these difficult times impacted CoreSite and your customers from your view?
Well, it's interesting, and I think this hit really the world by surprise, obviously, in coming into really February, March, and April especially. So it really put everybody on their heels as to how they're going to deal with it. And what we've seen is a lot of companies, even we're doing this session here today, are relying more and more on technology to get their messages across and conduct day-to-day business. So while it did throw some things in flux as to how customers evaluate their options, what their customers and how they're impacted, and how they really address their growing market concerns, it's also heightened the importance of transitioning to a more technology-oriented enterprise for really every aspect of modern business. So we've seen our pipelines be very promising as it relates to customers now shifting their priorities to technology and how they embrace that and use that as a significant tool to communicate with their employees and their customers. It's taken some adjustment for them to not only adjust to financially how they're going to accommodate their new market that they're dealing with, but also how they manage those budgets and those selection process, and what various vendors they pull together and how they architect that overall solution in order to serve those customers. So overall, I would say it's been a net benefit for our business. At the same time, it's been a challenge for a lot of our customers and just how they navigate it, and frankly for our sales team as well.
So as your funnels continue to grow and you navigate with customers, walk us through just a little bit, for those that may not already be familiar, what role does the channel play? What role do our partners play in working with CoreSite to help respond to some of those challenges that the enterprise customers may have?
Yeah, more important than ever. And it's really been a main priority for me really since I came to CoreSite, but especially as we've evolved over the last really 2 years, especially, and thinking about that whole architecture, right? So when you think about all the moving parts in a hybrid multi-cloud environment, data center is the foundational element of it, but there's so many other moving parts that surround that in order to make it a functioning architecture that really serves their business needs. And while we serve one piece of that, many of our partners, especially Telarus and your customer base, are really foundational for how we gain access and really tell our story out to those customers on how we can benefit them and to your partners. That extended value that it goes beyond just the data center, the connectivity, the integration, the transition services, how it all fits together and how they can help customers navigate that process. We really need help with, and we need help to not only access those customers, but also, fill those gaps of solutions that really bring that all together. So channel's never been more important to us than now. And we're placing our bets on the channel for sure.
Well, good. I know our partners are happy to help and are out there having those conversations. Let's have a little bit of a conversation around what differentiates you. I mean, there are obviously a lot of different data center providers out there, including within our portfolio. What differentiates CoreSite, and what unique benefits do you guys have to offer that allows you to be competitive and change, not just connectivity at the data center, but also the interconnection within the marketplace?
Sure. Well, it's great you asked that question because, when you look at a data center from the outside in, it's not that exciting, right? In fact, it's not that hard to buy land, tilt up a building, power it and cool it, and put a computer in there. That's not that hard, and you see a lot of companies that are doing exactly that. The market's never been better for data centers, and you see a lot of capital kind of flowing into the market because of that. But if you look at the underpinnings of our strategy and what makes us different, it really does shine through as to why it benefits, specifically enterprises, but also cloud providers and networks, because they're all mutually attracted to one another. So to give you just an example, in every market that we go into, and we're in 8 markets across the country, so think about Los Angeles and Southern California, Santa Clara, or kind of the San Jose, Silicon Valley area, Chicago, Denver, Boston, New York, New Jersey, Northern Virginia, and Miami. In each of those markets, a foundational element that we start with is always interconnection, an interconnection hub that has that carrier choice where really they've been established over years of carriers passing traffic, in many cases a carrier hotel. And LA is probably the easiest example because it's probably the most obvious one that people have heard about, but the One Wilshire building in LA is our LA1 facility. We also have LA2, which is within 3 miles of that. So really dark fiber connects those 2 facilities together. So it looks like an extended campus. And now we've just opened up our new building in LA3, phase 1, that will further expand that campus. So you get the benefits of all that connectivity, the native cloud on-ramps with the scalability that comes along with a new modernized facility in a metro city. So when you think about today's workloads and the drive, especially with the future of 5G and just latency applications that really drive that low latency requirement, we really do fit well in that space. And it's very, very hard to replicate all of those various factors where you have connectivity, cloud on-ramps, and scale in metro cities. That is very, very hard to replicate. So we have a unique value to those enterprises and those cloud providers and those networks where they can each benefit from one another and exchanging traffic, exchanging business, and really building out that ecosystem effect.
Well, Steve, you come across to me as a very humble person, but I'm going to ask you to brag just a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your guys' SLA is for uptime? Because it's really impressive to me.
Yeah, well, our SLA for uptime is 100%. So that's our SLA. And I will tell you, across the board, our campus last year was 7 nines of uptime. So, that the industry standard is 5 nines, and to carry out that additional 2 nines is significant. So, in most cases, in pretty much every market that we're in, we've been up 100% of the time throughout the entire year. So that's a big testament not only to the engineering and design of our facilities, but also our operations team and how they both perform maintenance and serve our customers. So with IT being such a critical component for our customers, it's especially important that it's there and it's available. And a minute of downtime can be disastrous for losing a customer, not communicating with a key employee, is just so critical now more than ever. So we're really proud of those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of providers talk about those numbers, but the fact that you guys have that and you're actually living that, I think that is a big differentiator. So that's something definitely to wave the flag on. Well, look, turning the page just a little bit, our partners that are out having conversations with customers and prospects around co-location, interconnectivity, how do we best work together with you and your team to be able to engage and move those customers along?
Yeah, well, I think it first starts with the relationship at the field level, right? Making sure that our sales team is in connection with the channel and that they understand each other's value proposition, where they fit, how we can engage one another in our existing pipeline, our existing customers, and grow the business together. Nothing happens in the channel or really in business without people trusting one another, learning how to work together and build a cohesive solution together that can serve their common customer. So, we've been trying to get our customers and our sales team working with Telarus and your partner community, and we would welcome the opportunity for the Telarus ecosystem to reach out with our team and engage and see how we can work together. I think what you'll find is not only is CoreSite a very compelling way to engage with your customers, make money for yourself and your business, but also provide a very valuable and central point of your customer's IT architecture. And that value will transcend to you as a channel partner and how that extends to your other services in delivering an overall experience for your customers. So I would just say, let's engage. The more that we can engage and find wins together, the more that we can build on them. And you have my full commitment that we'll do everything possible to ensure that we're transparent around how we work together, and that there's no surprises. As you mentioned, I've worked in the channel for a long time, and I know that predictability and trust is really important. And while we may not give you the answer that you always want, but I will guarantee you that we'll give you a straight answer, and we'll be honest with you and predictable about how we engage with one another.
Those are incredible words for the channel to hear: transparent, trustability, predictability. I love that. So very good. Thank you. Well, Steve, I appreciate your time. This has been a great conversation. I know as our teams have been working and engaging with your teams, we've been able to identify some really good opportunities. I think there's more that we can continue to do together. And I'm excited about what the future brings for both of our companies as we continue to build out our relationship.
I'm super excited too. And as you engage with our teams out there, I think everyone knows this, but our sales teams receive 100% commission in selling through the channels. So there's no channel conflict there. We have a marketing team that is geared up to help you market your brand and support you in delivering that cohesive approach to the marketplace. And we're excited about the relationship with Telarus. And like I said, if there's anything I can do to help the relationship along or help you win business, even more importantly, I have to do so.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Steve, for joining me on this episode of C2C. We appreciate our special guest, Steve Smith, CoreSite. Everybody, have a great day.